Evening, free enterprise fans, and welcome to game one of the Red Moon Waxing Finals. Rhybon versus Possumorpheus. Two longtime competitors met, in fact, in the semifinals of the Adamant Cup just last tournament, and here they are in the finals for game one this evening. My name's Vitasia. I'm joined tonight on the mic by Xenocat. How are we doing tonight, Xeno?
It's doing great. Excited for this finals race between these two phenomenal runners. And this is an interesting spread of bosses we have.
Yeah, it's, the standard Golbez and, the random Fabul gauntlet. Magus Sisters, D-Lunars, Wyvern, Val, Elements, and Odin. So two Lunar Sparkles and a lot of interesting elemental defense weaknesses after that, or some things that you can play around with. So this is not the worst boss set I've seen.
Yeah, no, there's some interesting weaknesses to play with, like the mages of the Magus Sisters, the weakness for Odin. Elements have a whole bunch of weaknesses, and then there's Valvalis. Valvalis just kind of is Valvalis.
Yeah, when Val does Val things, then if you, depending on how your party is set up, wherever Val shows up can be an absolute gate that can just hold up the rest of the run. So it'll be really interesting. We do have a Cecil start to start off with. What's your thoughts there?
I am hoping for Valvalis at back attack ordeals with no Kane or any other reasonably decent character for getting through her on the overworld. And that's not a good character for Val. That's Edward and the Tower Key. And Leviathan at the Vigan spot.
Yeah, not a great start to the party comp right now. Dark Knight Cecil, really you need to get him up Mount Ordeals before he gets going. And Eddie just, he can do some things and he can cheese some things, but my goodness, he's not who you prefer to see unless you have a starting spoon.
Yeah, thank goodness we have free characters on, because otherwise this would be a party.
Both Possum and Rhybon, of course, going immediately to Mysidia, and they are showing us both Rydia and Porum.
Amazing. So, this party can definitely get through Valvalis now.
Hey, hashtag Team Reject % all the way. I'm here for it.
I love this. This is amazing. This is just such a good start for our first race of the finals.
Rydia can be certainly very powerful depending on if we find some early summons or if we have anything else that we find available. Not always used that way, although she also ends up making a mighty fine anchor if you want to keep someone down in the middle.
Now we are starting to run out of really bad characters, at least in the seed. That's the plus side, as Rhybon loots a cheeky curse string from the Damsian basement.
I do like that curse string. It really makes the rest of that, the question of what your agility anchoring is going to be set up. It makes that question moot. There's a Telha up on Mount Ordeals in one of his.
Great. So glad we got him.
Another thing that Rhybon did pick up that I think is worth pointing out. Oh, and there's Sid.
Okay. Who on this team is doing damage other than Cecil?
Hey, all we need is Yong, and we're in the full bottom tier, I think.
Our options at this point are Yong, Kane, Rosa, and Talon.
What I did want to point out
If we get Palom, that makes for a very interesting potential Rude Val early, but it's Rosa.
Okay, so that. It still makes for an interesting party because we still don't. I mean, you have a little bit of melee power in Cecil once he gets there, but my goodness. Oh!
Possum has said, Cecil, get out of my party.
That's a bold move, Cotton, and immediately loots the strength ring, by the way.
It's fine. Bye, Cecil.
And so does Rhybon. What?
I mean, to be fair, with this party, I'm leaning towards we're going to use mages, and we're going to win with Porum, Rosa, and Rydia. And I guess Edward is our anchor, and Tella is our D-Machine. Or, well, for Rhybon, Sid is just more useful a character than Cecil right now.
I was going to point out that Rhybon did find a rune axe for those inevitable Magus sisters that will end up fighting, but I mean, maybe not interested in it at all.
I mean, Sid can still use that. And yeah, Possum is ditching Edward for Sid now, so it looks like he's pretty set on his party. We'll see what Rhybon manages to find in the Antlion Cave.
That was an Odin summon. You know, I'd be lying if I didn't say that I've seen Odin be used by a handful of runners with Rydia very effectively, honestly.
Yeah, Odin can be used very effectively, but when it hits, Odin has a habit of not hitting.
So
see a boss that can be hit with the Odin summon.
We don't have necessarily the MP to do that. Meanwhile, Possum is showing us kind of everything that is in this castle Eblin right now. Going to be dodging the trap chests up to this point. Not quite able to take him out, but certainly worth picking up the items to be able to sell later. And oh, there's a hook.
Yep, that is really nice for Rhybon. We'll be able to check out the Eblin shop. Could find hourglasses or coffins in there, which would help with this Eblin clear.
Duke Darkwood does ask a question. Is it me or does the Antlion somehow waited for Hook? I would say Antlion has waited for Hook only in that there's only so many of those like Sphere Zero checks that you can make in this randomizer, so that it's either, you know, Antlion, Baron, Mount Ordeals, or Formidable Defense is kind of your early starting locations. So things tend to show up there. I mean, sometimes they can show up, you know, gated behind another place that you would find, another key item that you would find in those 4 locations, but certainly those 4 locations have certainly popped up a lot in this tournament.
Yes. And it's worth noting that the odds of it showing up on Mount Ordeals are a little bit lower than everywhere else, just because there are more bosses, and if you happen to roll one of Golbez, Wyvern, or Valvalis up on that spot, then the seed says, nope, you can't have the hook here, we need to retry this whole thing.
Meanwhile, the Rhybon shows us the item shop that was in Cave Eblin, both coffins and sirens. Now, you mentioned possibly wanting to kind of hold off until we can do a D-Machine grind just because we're so caster heavy. But if we get into a pinch and we don't see a late darkness crystal for a while, those sirens will come in handy as well.
Yeah. But those coffins are going to be come in handy right now because we can use coffins to defeat everything in Eblin Castle except for the Staleman Skull Chest.
Hey, I saw a Dragon Whip. I'm just saying, Rydia can hit things too now if she wants to.
I mean, there was a heroine robe in that Eblin armor shop. I say we let Rydia hit things.
I mean, Rydia hitting things is just fantastic to see. Meanwhile, here is that wonderful Staleman skull chest. Looks like Rhybon is going to make an attempt to try to get some of these J items off. This is really kind of set up because everyone's at a super low level right at the moment.
Yep. But that Boreas is not quite strong enough. Can we vampire it to death? No, we need another thing. Goodbye, Rydia. That's probably not the big Grimoire roll we wanted, but it does get Rhybon through that Staleman chest. We will see what the reward is as Possum is heading into the Antlion Cave to get his hook. Okay.
That was so fast I didn't even see what that item was.
It was a glass hat.
Okay. Nice.
It's fine.
It's not thrilling, but it's nice.
Also, it's not bad. Oh, I'll take it. Sure.
That Sylph Summon, I did not see that before when Possumorpheus picked that up, but that'll also be nice.
Yeah. It does look like Rhybon is one coffin short of being able to wipe out everything in Eblin. But we'll at least get through this Mad Ogre chest.
Does he have the curse ring on Edward right now? Is that why everyone's so slow? Okay.
Yes, there is a curse ring in play here, which Possum, I believe, does not have. So that is a huge advantage for Rhybon.
Yep, that was found in the basement of Damsian Castle. So, real interesting. We'll see how much that plays a part as we kind of keep moving on.
I mean, that's a protect ring. Cool. I mean, it's not bad.
We have lots of survivability when really we need some punchiness right now.
Yes, we have... Eblin Castle is the castle of defense. But for Rhybon says, you know, I don't need to go hunt down the Black Cats and the Lamia. I'm going to climb up Mount Ordeals and see what's happening up there.
I think it is his last character check at this point in time, and it's the Tella. So it'll be interesting to see if he ends up making a party switch here. I gotta think so, just because Tella has such amazing early game utility.
Yeah, goodbye, Edward.
I never would have called that in a million years. All right, so Rhybon is going to be the first one to show us these bosses that are up here. Okay, we have a Lunar Sparkle.
That's a Sparkle. We're not even... No, we're resetting. Oh, Rhybon was on Battle Speed 6. That would be a problem.
Well, that makes a whole lot more sense for everything. Oh
my. Possum remembered to check Hobbs and has found the Maga Sisters.
Great use of the big bomb there before anything else got off. Lots of levels, of course, for all of his party, because this is a relatively high experience spot for the game, so and an objective. So we're gonna have to come back here at some point anyway on Rhybon's side.
Yeah, we'll see how long it takes him to remember that Mount Hobbs exists.
I mean, we've seen some high level players kind of forget about those early game checks, the Hobbs, the Mist Cave, and the Waterfall. Those checks that really don't reward anything other than just a simple boss check. But we've seen a lot of objectives be at those places as well. So
yeah, but Rhybon does get through that Paladin pretty quickly. Runax Sid being a really great member of his team, which, gosh, Possum does not have that Runex. So while Possum definitely has the little bit of an advantage of having remembered Mount Hobbs, Rhybon has the gear advantage at the moment.
well, I think there was a second Runax in Eblin Castle, so
okay.
I think he's all right. I think he's fine.
Okay, so it's just the curse string then.
I mean, I don't want to minimize the curse string by any stretch, but yeah, it's just the curse string.
Just the curse string. And I suppose the glass hat and the protect ring as well, because Possum did not sit through those trap chests. But those are also not particularly good for damage output.
Meanwhile, Dr. Luge is our second boss fight, which is a little bit annoying. You know, he's referred to as Dr. Dialogue, just because it's a two-part fight. The HP is split kind of all over the place. We don't really have anything for any weaknesses right at the moment. We just kind of got to burn through the HP and all of his cutscenes and dialogue. Ugh.
This is just kind of gross. Meanwhile, the Dark Elf is invading Fabul, so Possum is just gonna beat up the Dark Elf real quick.
All right, we have side-by-side competing bosses, of course, getting through here. Possum is going to be showing us Fabul Defense. Meanwhile, Rhybon is on the second phase of Dr. Luge, and we'll be showing us what the Ordeals item is here very shortly.
Yep, but this seed is an absolutely you can fade Fabul seed, because that was an Assassin Dagger for defending Fabul. Congratulations, you defended our kingdom, now you can swoon things.
With, like, one party member who can currently equip it.
With Rydia, exactly. You can swoon things with Rydia.
I don't know about you, but I always like giving children sharp knives that can kill people.
Yeah, that seems
Bad
like
joke.
a sound.
Bad
sound
joke. No, ignore me there.
Edward can use the Assassin Dagger, as well as I think Paladin Cecil can use it. I haven't put an Assassin Dagger on Paladin Cecil in a very long time, or I haven't tried to.
Paladin Cecil and Kane, I think, can both use the Assassin Dagger.
Okay. But we get a Holy Sword from Mount Ordeals. Amazing. That's like basically vanilla.
Does that change the equation at all? Because we have Cecil.
Do our runners want to go pick up Lightsaber Cecil? Is Lightsaber Cecil good enough? I would say yes. I like Lightsaber Cecil.
It's a relatively high power item, honestly, at this point in time. So, like, it's a legit question, I think.
Oh yeah, I would actually be tempted to ditch Sid for Cecil and then just use Lightsaber Cecil and have Lightsaber Cecil, and then still have the Runex around for him. Even if you are going Reflect, Cecil with that access to that lightsaber is just better than Sid.
Yeah, kind of in every way. The only way is if you are counting on doing pure Reflect strats and just need a pure chemist with a boatload of HP for Zero Miss. and that's
Yeah,
really the only
but
difference.
I think
Cecil
Cecil would
has,
still have plenty of HP for most situations. The only way I could see it being a problem is if we have an early DKC potentially at King Queen, or potentially an Odin at a nasty spot. Not a like sort of nasty spot, but not too nasty spot like the Rubicon spot. Anyway, our runners have now swapped checks. Rhybon heading to Fabul, Possum heading to Ordeals.
I found it interesting that, I mean, we're in the finals of this Red Moon waxing tournament, and we've not yet found like a strong meta of like a single route that everyone has kind of universally decided is the best route for doing your character checks and doing, you know, all of the early game checks before we go into Underworld. Usually in most of these tournaments, some sort of consensus develops into the community as to, you know, what's going on, or there's one or two like weird variations throughout this tournament, and we're at the finals of this side of it, and there's still lots of tournament to go. So I don't want to say it's not settled yet, but there's been no consensus built up. I've seen lots of different variations of openings, of different routing decisions. You know, where do you go? Do you immediately go to Mysidiu? Do you immediately go pick up key items? Do you go somewhere else? It's been really, really interesting seeing all the different changes, and it's not settled yet.
Yeah, there's definitely not a real meta, single meta. There's sort of variations depending on who your starting character is, but it feels like it's so dependent on who your party is and whether you want to get your party early to figure out what the best route is for them, or whether you want to hold off a little bit and do some checks along the way. It's really interesting.
All right,
Anyway.
so Rhybon, yeah, now through. So Rhybon has a little bit of an edge, although Possum, you know, with that difference being that Rhybon has done some chests that are in Eblin, and Possum has done one of those has already gotten one boss down doing that hops check.
Yeah. Although it looks like Rhybon is not going to forget Mount Hobbs. So this is very good news. I think we're about to see a very angry Runak Sid.
And I think that's probably a good use for Runak Sid at this point in time. Chat pointing out a little bit ago, by the way, that Rhybon sold that lightsaber, by the way, so I don't think Cecil's going to be appearing in the seat anytime soon.
No, I think Cecil has been benched for good. Oh, sorry, Mindy. I'm just gonna do 10 times your max HP. I hope you don't mind.
Suggestion box, extra XP for overkill. Like, let's go full FF10 mode. If we overkill something, let's get some bonus
Yes.
XP.
No, if I do 10 times the boss's HP, I should get 10 times the amount of experience. This seems only fair.
I'm on board. Let's make it happen. I don't know what kind of programming is involved, but it can't be hard, right?
Oh, definitely not.
Arrogance has a great question in chat. Are there some bosses you would rather find in a location later into the game? Yes, absolutely. with all of the bosses being shuffled around, and it's like the scripts of the bosses and the abilities change with whatever the static location of the stats are. There are some fantastic bosses you want to find later in the game, the free bosses like Water Hag, but some of them can be punchier, like the Dark Imps, which normally you'd think are relatively free, but man, they can punch really hard on some of those lunar spots. Um, there's different ideas over what's good and bad in different locations. I'm sure as you play, you develop an opinion. Mom Bomb is horrible no matter where it is, though. Just
Yes.
full disclosure.
So we did see Rhybon check the Waterfall and Mist Cave, just finding Asura and Rubicant at those spots respectively, and now our runners have converged in the Baron Inn, where they are going to knock Cecil, the last Cecil that they will probably see, out of the seed for good. Goodbye, Cecil. Get out of here. We don't like you.
Meanwhile, so we have what is normally known in the community. It's a bit of a meme. We do have the Fabul Gauntlet that is in the second location, so it is another one of our bosses, but for some odd reason, this location is referred to as Senator Crocodile.
Well, yes, he's Senator Crocodile, because if you stop crocodiles at the wrong time, the game will just not let anyone get a turn until the stop wears off. So the crocodile filibusters your party and just freezes you in place until your stop wears off, which takes a while if you used an hourglass.
What you're saying is you don't want to use an hourglass on this fight.
Yes. I mean, it can be fine, but sometimes you use it and the crocodile, like right as the crocodile's already queued up its first punch, because they have a chain to punch twice, and if they will punch once, wait for the stop to wear off, and then punch again. And you cannot do anything while it's waiting for the stop to wear off. So yeah, maybe don't use stop on them. It's dangerous.
Yes, Cypri Byron, I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name. Yes, this is a meme that is a joke requiring more than a passing knowledge of not only American government, but an intricate knowledge of the game's coding and how it works. It is peak free enterprise community.
Yes, exactly. We only have the most ridiculous memes.
By the way, if you'd like to join us, feel free to come over to our Discord. I promise you, we're friendly.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's been really interesting watching these two runners, because I don't think anyone necessarily expected us to get to this point, or to have this fight right here. We're not necessarily set up for it. We're not in a good spot. They're both kind of like, okay, well, let's fumble our way through it. Elect Fish is horrible because, we have a stack of Thor Rages that we would love to be able to use to sweep through, but those Elect Fish absorb lightning.
Yep, they are quite annoying. But I do want to point out, Rhybon did make a little bit better use of these Thor Rages in this gauntlet, and did overtake Possumorpheus in that second fight. Got into this gauntlet after Possum, but has taken just a little bit of extra time, or saved just a little bit of time in that second fight especially, and is now roughly half a fight ahead.
Somehow our chat has completely devolved into a discussion of the etymology of the word filibuster, and I am here for it.
Yes. But Rhybon is done with this gauntlet, so we are about to see what our real reward is. Oh,
It's actually super nice.
sweet. It's time to D-Machine.
Okay, so that's yeah. So the Darkness Crystal, for those of you, if this is your first time seeing a free Enterprise race, is super important. The Darkness Crystal unlocks our ability to do two things: go to the moon and check all those bosses that are up there, and eventually kill the boss. And two, go to the Giant of Babel, which not only has two boss locations, but has a setup to get us rolling for one of the most popular grinds in the game, the D Machine grind, also known as D Money, and lots of other terms that go on with that.
Yes. Basically, the way this grind works is we're going to be using, we're going to be counting our steps either out here on the overworld or in the Giant of Babel itself to manipulate a D Machine fight, which is going to look like a Searcher and two Beamers. But the premise of the fight is the Searcher will summon a D Machine, Tello will cast Weak on the D Machine, someone will bop the D Machine and kill it, and we get a lot of experience, and we can do it over and over again.
The nice thing about this particular fight is that even if it takes you a little bit of time to kill that D Machine, as long as you don't just hit it, as long as you cast the Weak, and then when the one time you do hit it, it dies, it will never cast anything that isn't a percentage-based attack on you. That it will cast kind of a fire. I think it's just called fire, honestly, or it's a blaze.
Yes, it's just fire.
Okay, and it just does, I think, 25% of your health, or
It's
10.
I think it's 20%.
It's a lot.
So,
you can't ignore it. You do have to
yes.
heal up with it occasionally.
Yes, it is important to heal it off as you're going through the fight, but it is very manageable for even a low-level team. It's not going to hurt a low-level team that much because you don't have a lot of hit points. And they're worth a pretty decent amount of experience. So we see Possum has set up his manipulation outside the Giant. It looks like we are going to see a manipulation from Rhybon inside the Giant, so we're going to get to see both manips here as we head into our grind stage of the seed. Which honestly, this is fairly early. There's a lot of seeds I've seen where we don't grind anywhere near this point.
No, and the advantage of doing it this early is you can get your party up to respectable levels to the point where the rest of the game becomes almost trivial. You know, if you have a Rydia who's casting nuke frequently, things tend to melt pretty quickly.
Yeah, and it's worth noting Rhybon does have a slingshot set up on that Rydia. I don't know if Possumorpheus has one set up on his Rydia, but Rhybon has one set up. With Possum heading into the Giant, Rhybon is on a timer to find this encounter. And that's not the encounter.
No, no.
Oh no. And this is the risk of doing it in the Giant. Sometimes the enemies punch you and you die.
It's very risky. It is much safer. It does take more time to do it outside the Giant. But like you said, that's the risk. And you know, most of us are fine with it. Possum wanted to do the safer route, and you know, he might have set up. Ooh, I don't know. Nope.
Nope. Rhybon says that's not the D Machine encounter. But this, I think, is. So Rhybon does get into the fight first.
Zeno, I always have a hard time telling the difference. Can you help me and maybe everyone else in chat here, because they look almost the same to me.
I mean, they look identical, but Usually, the way this encounter table works, if you see two in a row of them, the second one is probably the D machine. The D machine fight shows up a lot right after in the encounter table, right after the horseman fight, which it starts the same. It's a searcher and two beamers, except that the horseman fight, the searcher summons horsemen, which are not worth nearly as much experience, and no one likes them.
All right, so both runners starting their fight close to the same time. It's interesting. Rhybon is keeping Rydia down, I think, just to help kind of save the turns at this point in time, which makes a lot of sense. Although you do kind of have to make sure to manage all of that properly and make sure that you bring your Rydia up in time as well. So
yeah,
I think Rhybon is going to be able to get through the grind a little bit faster, but you just got to manage the turn order a little bit here.
Yeah, Rhybon will have a pretty quick grind, but we'll need to make sure to bring Rydia up and knock Tella down. I assume we're knocking Tella down at the end of this fight. But yeah, this should be a fairly quick... I mean, we might just see a fairly quick grind here, because Rydia, it does have a slingshot, so Rhybon only needs to kill 6 of these D-machines with life glitches.
Looks like Possum is also trying to knock down his Tella, or his Sid as well, just to, I think, do something very similar to what Rhybon is doing so that he can manage the turn order a little bit easier.
Yeah, but the trouble with Sid is he's hard to knock down.
Yeah, that's that big beefy HP pool we were talking about a little bit earlier.
Yeah. Now, I definitely haven't been keeping track of Rhybon's D-machines, but I believe he's gone through 4 D-machines at this point.
He's been going very, very quickly through this. Honestly, this is kind of textbook how you would normally want to get through this right now.
Yeah, and if his only goal is to get Rydia to nuke, that's only 2 more. Which I think, given the MP restorative situation and the life potion situation, we might see Rhybon decide to nope out after this next D-machine.
Yep, certainly he's gotten life glitches out of all of them.
Yeah.
Arrogance asked, Machine and Egg are the most common XP grinds? I would say they're among the most common. You also have King Ryu's that are on the moon as well, so you can siren those up. Those 3 are probably the most prominent. The challenge comes in is when you take some of those options away, and you have to get creative. You know, we've seen people grind on the doors in the Luca Cave, for example. We've seen...
Yeah, that's always...
Yeah, it's fun.
Anyway,
we've seen... Anyway, we're done.
Rhybon is done. Rhybon has gained 500,000 experience. That's up to life 2 on Rosa already, by the way. Porum has learned Wall, up to Wall, so she's in the low 40s. Rydia, I believe, is up to Nuke at this point. So Rhybon is already done, ready to go.
Nuke and not Meteo, hit the sweet spot there.
Yeah, and the other mages aren't really that far off. You know, Porum's at level 46. That's only 2 levels away from Cure 4, and only 6 levels away from White. We're probably going to get that over the rest of the seed.
And of course, while we're here, the giant is the location of two different bosses. I mean, we gotta at least peek the first boss and see if it's worth checking out, right?
Yeah, I would say that's probably worth doing. Well, I mean, we're gonna sit through this.
Yeah, this is a free boss. Oh my goodness.
This is exactly where you want to see King and Queen Evelyn in this flag set.
This might be the single best spot to see King and Queen Evelyn.
King and Queen Evelyn are going to give their speech. King Evelyn is going to cast fire 2-3 times, and then they're going to go away. Keblin and Queblin are truly the best boss at Elements, and it is the best. Elements is the best spot for them. This is so nice, Nubari. You didn't have to do this for our runners, but you did.
Honestly, I might even take a stab in trying to kill my Tella off right here, so Tella doesn't get a whole lot more experience.
Yeah, he's got a curse string. He'll be fine. Cursed Tella doesn't actually get too fast until like level 60. And Tella's EXP curve is even worse than Radio's. Somehow.
Either way, there's that script that plays, and the King and Queen of Ebland die on their own without any effort from us, gain some levels. It's like, okay, sweet. I don't think we even save. Like, I think we just go on because we don't need that experience.
Yeah. Well, the experience was definitely nice. Porum learned Cure 4. That's nice. I like that. Oh, that is heads up though. Warping back to the save point so that on the way out we won't have to deal with having to warp extra times in case this is not a required boss.
No, absolutely fantastic heads up play there. And our CP, I mean, this is really interesting that both runners decided to do this. And our
hi. So this is an objective.
Resident comedian Golbez.
Yeah, I think we're gonna want to finish the Giant of Babil here.
I think so too. And I in particular, like, we tried to get a Venom off on the party, could not do it, so we're like, okay, you know what, let's reset out and set up proper. Everyone is now minied. The reason we do this is because he cannot cast his paralyzing attack that stuns everyone if there's another status effect affecting a party member. So you set everyone up so that they already have a status effect of some sort, mini Venom, something, so that you can still use actions while the dragon is effectively knocking off 3 members of your party. Then you can immediately get Star Veils up so you can get Reflects, get people up that you need to get up, and it just makes everything go so much smoother.
Yep, Shadow has eaten, I think that was Rydia and Rosa and Tella. So we got Sid and we got Porum up. So now this is a matter of, let's wait until Golbez does enough damage to himself that we can, that he runs out of hit points, basically.
Yeah, and the magic attack is a little bit high here, so you can tell Golbez is certainly
swinging damage viruses are a thing. Quad 9 with 3s, it's fine. This is normal.
Then a mini punch and he falls over. That's weak sauce, Golbez.
He hits himself with a whole bunch of big spells, and then Sid blows up and pokes him, and he's like, "Oh gosh, I forgot how Because Golbez doesn't realize how much he's hurting himself until you poke him, and then he's like, oh, I did all this damage to myself. Oh, I need to leave now.
It's truly like the biggest David and Goliath story, especially when you look at how small the minis are, and like
Yes,
that's
and
what 8 pixels.
Golbez is also very, very tall. I mean, technically, we could have stood there and let Golbez wail on himself until he finished himself off, but that would require him doing like 19,000 extra damage to himself. So, no thank you.
So it looks like right now Possum is getting close to being done, is getting weak set up for the final searcher. I think the issue is that his Rydia was not set up to really slingshot, so he had to go through a lot more kills in order to get that.
That extra time spent. Yeah, his D machine was twice as long essentially because he did not have a slingshot set up on Rydia, so he took the D machine all the way up to nuke. This will mean that his Porum and Rosa will have white right away, but I'm not sure how significant that'll be, especially with the hook route having another free boss at the Rubicon spot.
Those are either the guards that you normally fight in Baron Inn, or even weaker, the officer-soldier fights that you normally fight in Kaipo right out the start of the game. So either way, that's a relatively free boss there that you don't need levels to beat. Heck, we had coffins that we could buy back at Evelyn Cave that would certainly do the trick.
Yeah, we're just gonna... I mean, in Rhybon's case, he's just gonna plow through this hook route. It's not gonna stand a chance.
Question in chat: why do some runners ignore so many chests? Do they have max level gear? It's not about the gear, it's about the time. Remember, we're speedrunners, we gotta go fast.
Yeah,
and
the gear in these chests is not likely to be better than the gear that the runners already have, so it's not worth the time of open. It's so unlikely that these chests would actually make up the time of opening them.
Yeah.
Plus, we have a limited inventory, and if you fill your inventory up, that wastes even more time.
Yeah, you gotta go fast, and every second that you spend opening a chest is time not spent walking to the objective.
Anyway, this fight would have been really rude if we hadn't done a D machine grind.
Yeah, that would have been rough.
I mean, to be fair, we did have Edward, so it would have been fine. But, yeah.
Okay, it's the guards. So, I mean, not completely free, but...
I mean, I don't think Rydia cares. Oh my gosh, Rydia missed stone. Rydia is officially worse than Fu.
I mean, we have coffins, it's okay. Worth pointing out, the coffins do have kind of a long cast time, but you'll notice that Rhybon was organizing his inventory while those casts were going off, and that's a really kind of differential, I think, a differentiating factor between really, really good runners and what I would call great runners, like taking advantage of every extra second you possibly can.
Yeah. We do see that there's just some dark imps at the top of tower, so I don't anticipate we'll be headed to the very top of the tower particularly soon, although we might do it with the tower key check.
Maybe, but I mean, we're not necessarily looking for key items because we got our darkness crystal, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have our darkness crystal, but we are still missing a Baron key, an earth crystal, a twin harp, a package, and a Luca key, which could all be gating bosses that we need.
I guess it depends on what other bosses we find along our way.
Yes.
If we check tower key, we can see it. We'll likely check what's going over here in Dwarf Castle, where there's 2 bosses that we can check. Also, Fey March. You know, if we end up finding 2 or 3 of the other bosses, and we only are searching for 1 or 2, I can see us like noping out and going to the moon.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I think I would be hesitant unless we find a pass to go until we got down to like that 1 or 2 to go to the moon at all. But yeah, I could definitely see us in that situation, just going to the moon, not worrying about top of tower or any other things. That's not a boss at Dwarf 1, though.
Oh, that was a Mylan Sprite. So it could be Mylan Z, it could be Mylan and Friends, but either way, it's going to melt under this party right now.
Yeah, there's not much that can stand up to Rydia. Oh no, this boss is going to take 2 turns.
Oh no, we got 2 lit ones off. I don't know what we'll be able to do.
Oh no, it punched Tella. He's so vital to our strategy. Well, that was Mylon. Bye, Mylon. Shoutouts to Porum for defeating Golvez on Possum's side. I'm sure he's very happy about that. And we have a Sparkle right behind it, which could be valuable. And it is Blarg!
And we have a very fast Rydia who's going to cast Nuke before Blarg. So we out-Blarg the Blarg today.
We out-Blarged Blarg. Rydia went Blarg first.
I see you, Escarunt. Was it Nuke? I will show you how. Great reference to Rubicon there.
And it does look like Possum is going to follow Rhybon into the underground. Unfortunately for him, that's not the route he needs to take to stay ahead, just with the longer grind.
Yeah, I mean, Possum has always done the, I think, mathematically correct thing, so it's not surprising to see him do this. Unfortunately, we know that he's kind of in the straight line race right now. He's behind, so he's going to have to make some gambles. We'll see if he feels behind or if he just is going to keep making the straight line race. Rhybon, meanwhile, does find the spoon. I think we're done grinding, though, so that Eddie isn't going to come out of hiding.
No, probably not. As much as I'd love to see Spoonward in play, I don't think that's going to happen this seed.
I mean, would Spoonward at level 5 or whatever he's at, even with a spoon, with a cursed ring, be a better anchor than Tella at whatever level he's at?
Yeah, probably not. I'd rather have the Tella utility than the Spoonward. The Frey March has decided that we need an elixir, so here's a free one.
All right, so Rhybon showing us who these Feymarch bosses are going to be. If it's a Sparkle, we're still looking for D-Lunars. Oh.
There's 2 Sparkles. I think, well, we don't know. This could be Ogo and Plague. That would be funny. Oh, there's our D-Lunars.
That was really interesting to see D-Lunars immediately. That was a coin flip.
Yeah. Well, it was really a 1 in 3. But yeah, we now know we don't need to fight the other Sparkle, because it's either Ogo or Plague, and we don't care about either of those bosses.
Okay, so that'll be 2 bosses down. So we have 3 bosses remaining: Val, Elements, and Odin. I think you check the tower key location, but After that,
Yeah, it's becoming harder and harder to just say no to the moon.
I mean, and this is where it really becomes kind of a difficult choice, I think, and that's the choice at this point in the race that has, I think, defined this this tournament in particular, because it can be kind of a toss up and it can go either way.
Yeah, we'll see what comes out of the D winners. That's a... Oh, D winners. Thanks for the money, I guess. We're probably never going to go shopping again, but thank you, I guess. Worth noting, Possum does save a tiny bit of time on these Baron guards by Rydia not missing stone. Congratulations, Rydia.
Makes sense to me. Meanwhile, looks like Rhybon getting everything set up for going to be checking tower by the looks of it.
Yep, we're gonna go check out at least that tower key. I don't know if we're gonna bother taking on the Dark Imps at the top. They are fairly free. Rydia can take them out with one stone cast, but at the same time, they're not an objective boss. Other than this super cannon room, all of the bosses, we have 6 boss spots left on the moon to find 2 of our 3 remaining bosses.
Meanwhile, Possum is doing something that did not see. He is doing this particular tower check first, rather than doing the other 2 checks that we know that he'll have to eventually do. Just the boss check on Rhybon's side, and then he nopes out. Says, "Nope, I'm set. We're going to the moon, folks."
Yeah, Rhybon, I think, is just done checking for everything. He's going to the moon. He's done. And then, I mean, maybe we see a Zot 1 play, but I feel like Rhybon's probably just going to go straight to the moon, peek the bosses there, see what's up. Oh, never mind. Wait. Oh, no, that's where the whale was.
Yeah. Possum going all the way to the top, even though it's the boss. So if this lands to be like the Baron key, for example, or the Earth Crystal, although Rhybon looks like he's going to check Zot 1 before committing fully to the moon. This is kind of a cheeky play. I like this on Rhybon's end.
Yeah, I really like this, especially with the lack of a pass. It's just make sure I'm not missing something really obvious at Zot 1, and then head up, check the 6 bosses on the moon, and hopefully get, between this and the moon, get 2 things.
Now that I stop and think about it, isn't that the weirdest place for the karate fight to be? At the super cannon?
Yeah, Yang was in the process of blowing up the super cannon, so we go in there and stop him.
Okay, so that's the lore. Okay.
Yes. Anyway, that's a legend sword at the top of tower, so probably not what Possum was hoping for.
Not at all.
And that was Antlion at Zot 1. You could tell because there was no sprite in the first slot. So Rhybon is headed to the moon. For his sake, he's hoping that 2 bosses show up here on the moon. Possum is hoping that 2 bosses do not show up on the moon.
If the 2 bosses are not up here on the moon, then they are going to be gated behind some other key items. We got Twin Heart Package, Baron Key, Earth Crystal, and that's it in terms of key item, or Luca Key as well. Those are the key items that are gating bosses. However, then you have our fetch quest turn-ins in the Pan and the Rat Tail as well. So could be some craziness still in this seed. Oh, that's an Odin.
Well, that's one boss already. It's K value. Because there is value here.
That there is.
I mean, this could be good for Possum if there's nothing else on the moon for Rhybon.
Worth noting that Odin is still pretty punchy here.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Odin is quite punchy. Like, if Possum finds one more boss on the blue planet before going to this moon, then he could get some time back. But you're not getting time back if you're finding Dragoon hats.
No, unfortunately not. Now Possum will be making kind of the conventional play now to Dwarf Castle.
Yep. Rhybon, meanwhile, finds an adamant rock to go with Possum's legend sword, so between the two runners they can forage.
I will say this, of all the tournament races that I've either raced or been part of the restream team for, this has been a very light key item run. We have, Rhybon, the leader, only has 5 key items, and Possum only has 4 right now. This has been really, really light on the key items.
Yeah, there's so few key items here. It's honestly a little wild just how few key items we've seen, but Rhybon is beginning the dive down the lunar subterranean.
We are looking either for Val or Elements. And honestly, if you're Rhybon, you're probably hoping to find Elements before Val, because Val...
Yeah, Val would be slow. Not impossible with this party, just slow.
Well, we have a Sid, and, we can throw a bow and arrows onto either Rydia or Rosa. Or Porum, for that matter.
Yeah, but we'd really like to find Elements. They would just be so much nicer for this mage team.
It really would. So Possum is through with the Wyvern fight, as predicted, soon off to the Fey March. And we'll see. It'll be interesting, because Rhybon went right for the Asura location, which is where we found our D-Lunars. But the left one was a Sparkle as well. No, we did not check. It'll be interesting if Possum does that fight first, and then finds something like the Baron Key.
I mean, I don't think Possum sits through that if it's Ogopogo. There's a chance he sits through it if it's Plague, but even then I'm not so sure.
We'll put it this way: that I'm still trying to imagine scenarios where, in this particular race, what gives Possum the best chance to catch up?
Oh yes. What gives Possum the chance to find an extra boss, and Rhybon just doesn't find anything on the moon, and then Possum manages to find something here on the blue planet. I mean, I guess there's also Sheila 1.
Even that seems like a stretch right now, just because we've not been prioritizing key items up to this point.
Yeah.
Welcome, Raiders, everyone. This is match one in the Red Moon Waxing Finals. Rhybon versus Possumorpheus. Right now, Rhybon has kind of a straight line lead on Possum. Already on the moon.
Yeah, Possum's going to find those D-Lunars first. We found Baigan at Whitespear, CPU at Rhybon. No, thank you. There's no way Rhybon sits through those, especially after resetting out of the Kaipo guards at Mura. We've got this, and we've got Crystal Sword Altar.
This is where it gets a little nerve-wracking because, this could be interesting.
And that's Elements. Rhybon is in go mode.
Setting up Berserk on his Rune Axe wielding Sid, who, by the way, once we get over to the next phase of this Elements fight from Mylan to Rubicon, has the Mage property for some reason.
Yeah, not Ruby by himself is not a mage, but this form of Ruby is a mage.
They all have something a little bit different about them, right, in each of their phases. Like, Mylan is floating, so he doesn't take any earth damage. Ruby is a mage. Val suddenly has a lightning weakness.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Anyway, that's a crystal and a Luca key for Rhybon. Because why not? We can go do Sealed Cave now. Isn't that exciting?
It's exciting in that we didn't have to use the magma key meme this commentary time.
But we can do doors. As we all know, doors are the best grind.
I love grinding doors when that's the only option. I think that's awesome.
To answer question chat, we know that magma could not be on the moon because the darkness crystal is on the overworld. So we were not going to be able to get underground from there.
No.
But our underground access could be behind that Luca key.
It could be. Meanwhile, we swag walk all the way, and I see some Z flags in chat. This is probably the longest standing meme of the community, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say so. I think it has to do with something about the fact that we don't shuffle Zeromus around in the boss pool, and we have instead of randomizing his location, we randomize his sprite or something.
Yeah, that's about half the speech I give anytime I talk about that. Yeah, you're on the right track there. Yep.
Yeah. But I guess there is a question to ask.
There is. Are we rock, paper, scissoring for it, or would you like to ask it this time? Okay.
I'll just go. Whose butt are we gonna kick tonight? Also, their special magic worked on this seed, so
Boss for tonight is Possumus 2. The possuming. It's a finals race, everyone. You know Scala has magic for the finals set up.
yeah, we see Rosa throwing out whites, Rydia throwing out nuke, Possum getting a silent staff from Ogopogo.
I like the plays that Possum is doing. I think he feels maybe he's a little bit behind, but making the plays, trying to find some way to come back. I think he realizes that he might be a little bit behind at this point.
Yeah, Possum is now headed to the Sylph Cave. I think this is a play at Sheila 1, feeling just behind at this point.
Absolutely. In the meantime, we got whites and nukes just flying all around on Rhybon's side. Uh, Good first boss, with Possum being the first boss on Rhybon's side.
Yeah, Porum is on Cure 4 duty because she unfortunately did not learn White. She just didn't quite get there.
Well, Porum requires a lot of experience to get up that high, so
Yeah,
that makes
not
sense.
quite as much as Rydia, but it's still like 900,000. Possum, did you fade Mist Cave?
I think he faded Miss Cave. Yeah.
Oh my!
Just now, that's a lot of fading. That is a lot of fading.
Also faded Waterfall apparently. This is Asura, no, so that's not your value. Rhybon has just hit a black hole. And is going with the direct cast White for the finish. But I believe that is... Yeah, that's not disappearing, that's a crumble. So GG's to Rhybon, who has finished this race in first place with an official time of 1 hour, 9 minutes, and 42 seconds. GG's to you.
Hey, thanks. And Xenocat, we're going to hear it in a moment, but you did a heck of a job with this harp song.
Oh, good. I can't wait to hear it. But anyway, D-Machine. Thoughts?
D-Machine. I love D-Machines. Well, I don't love D-Machines, but they're a necessary evil sometimes. And my main thought was when I found that darkness crystal behind the Baron Inn, I'm like, oh, geez, I just wasted so much time doing Eblin before I did Ordeals. I gave all that time to Possum. He's going to find this too. He's probably finishing his D-Machine grind right now. So I generally have to go up there and follow him and, maybe check those 2 bosses up there, which luckily ended up being a fair chunk of XP and required too.
Yeah. As it turns out, you were getting through Baron Inn at right about the same time. Possum got to the Baron Inn slightly ahead of you, but then you had a faster gauntlet.
Huh. Interesting. So I guess maybe the time I spent in Eblin wasn't that bad either, because it did get me some equipment, I suppose.
Possum looted a lot of Eblin, but did it before getting the hook, so didn't have access to coffins through Eblin Castle, so didn't take any of the trap chests.
That's something that I picked up from Pyre last series. One thing that P does is, if you have hook access, go check out the Eblin shop. If you have coffins, hourglasses, those traps are available even when you have a potato party like we did today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Potato party, excuse me. People were fans of Rydia and Porum and things like that. And
but yeah, was in the seed, I suppose.
Yeah, Cecil was around, but so was there. So, okay, talk to me about the Cecil dismiss and the immediate lightsaber cell.
So, a long time ago, well, not that long ago, back before the tournament began, and Possum, Martin, me, Pancraz, Tybalt, many others were practicing Red Moon Seeds over in Possum's Discord. I think I played a seed or 2 where I dropped my starter because, probably Edge wasn't required, and I had a bunch of mages, just go mages instead. We were talking, and I made a gentleman's agreement with Possum back then, back before we even saw the bracket, that, hey, if we ever get matched up in the tournament, we're going to drop our starters. And then when I saw the bracket get released, I'm like, well, this is never going to happen. He's way on the other side. I'm over here. We're only going to meet up in the championship. But I guess the gentleman's agreement came to pass.
So is this going to hold for the rest of the finals? You got 2 more matches, or is it just the one-off?
I actually don't know. We weren't really planning that far ahead. I'll have to talk to him after this.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of was a seed that lent itself really well to it. I mean, technically, I think the optimal thing would have been to take that lightsaber Cecil in place of the Sid, and still do the D Machine and let Cecil get a slingshot as well. But otherwise, it was. I mean, it didn't really make that much of a difference at the end of the day when your primary damage was Rydia doing everything.
Yeah, I agree. For the most part, D Machine was pretty much always going to happen this seed, and with 2 white mages and a black mage, mages was the play, especially after at least the 2 trap chests that I didn't result in a shiny sword, a holy sword, or anything like that. Light sword's great. Crystal sword would really be tempting, but yeah, mages were pretty much it. Also, I didn't know the Weather Channel slapped so hard. Is this like a game, the Weather Channel, or was I just not watching the Weather Channel over the last 10 years?
No, this is from, I believe, the Weather Channel in 2006. The Weather Channel has music that slaps.
Yeah, this is really, really good. I guess I've been just going to their website more often than actually watching their channel.
Oh yeah, no, this was back in the day when people like actually watched their channel and they put real effort into like their music, and it's so good. I was like, without context, this is gonna pass as like a JRPG boss theme.
It kind of does, yeah. Which is why I thought it. When I first saw it, I'm like, did the Weather Channel make a game? Is there an RPG about the Weather Channel where you like or something?
No, this was literally broadcast on TV like 15 years ago.
Well, I'm glad you've revived it.
Yes, I had a lot of fun making this one. But anyway, I guess any final thoughts on that honestly quite jetty seed?
It was extremely jetty. I think I finished with 7 key items, which is pretty close to the lowest I've ever finished with. And I was really hoping there would be 2 bosses up on the moon. Luckily, Odin and Elements were, because if there weren't,
Yeah,
I'd be searching for a key item.
Yeah, it was going to be interesting. And the Baron key was apparently just chilling at Sheila 1.
Huh. Yeah.
It had no bosses, so it wasn't going to help you.
Okay. Yeah, like I had 6 bosses gated when I was pretty much in faith check mode on the moon. Yeah, I eventually found that Luca key behind Elements after go mode, but yeah, it's normally something I don't do.
Yeah. Oh, hold on, we don't know that the Baron key's dead yet. Possum has just pulled the twin harp out of the basement.
Oh, good. We'll get a second rendition of this, hopefully.
Perfect. We'll be able to hear all of it in its glory then.
Yes. But yeah, unless Vitasia, you have anything to add, I feel like I am ready to let Rhybon go and enjoy the rest of his evening.
No, GG's. Just remind us, next match is tomorrow night then?
It is. We had it scheduled for 8 o'clock tomorrow night, but we had to reschedule it. So it's going to be 10 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Channel, I don't know, unfortunately. And game 3, which will be required, will be
I'm in charge of
on Sunday.
It'll be on FE.
FE it is.
On this channel.
Come back tomorrow. Watch Possum clap my cheeks.
I mean, I don't think that'll happen, but you never know.
But yeah, hey, thanks Vitasia, thanks Xenocat, fantastic comms as always, I'm sure. Neo for rolling an extremely jetty seed, Ike here for pressing buttons. Sorry, I couldn't make you press too many tonight, but yeah, GG's to Possum, and thank you all for everything. Talk to you later.
Yep.
GG's Rhybon putting on heck of a show, taking game 1 on this championship game. Possum, meanwhile, going to be turning in this twin harp here directly, and we'll be able to actually listen to this full rendition. I'm excited.
Yeah, this is goodness. But hearing the harp songs, if in like the bed, is always nice, but I feel like there's some added little something to it when you hear it in the check properly. So, really glad Possum's making this check. Anyway, I guess we will be quiet and let y'all listen to Weather Channel music that could be a JRPG boss theme.
You are right. That song has no business slapping that hard. My goodness.
It's great. I don't know what the Weather Channel was doing in the early 2000s, but apparently it was that. And the reward for this really long chain is that Possum can now skip out on going to the bottom of the moon, except that his last objective is at the Ogo altar, so the pass is literally useless.
Wow.
Well,
Yep.
I'm glad we had that experience.
I'm happy I just got to be here for it. Honestly, it's magical. This will be a meme joked about for a while, I think. Particularly with Kinyatso and his flood warning.
Yes,
just with it.
Oh, Possum is going to check Zot 1 first. We know it's not Zot 1. But we do know at this point that Valvalis is at either Zot 2 package, Luca Key, or the Crystal Sword altar.
Yeah, Commander Leonhardt brings up a good point. You know, first of all, this is a best of 3 series for the championship. So it just 1-0, and we'll have our second race between these two tomorrow evening. And remember, this is a double elimination tournament. So the winner tonight is going to be the first winner of the waxing phase of the Red Moon Seed. The loser will still have a tournament life, but will have quite a wait while we wait for everyone else to catch up on the waning side of the bracket. I think we're only on round 4 or 5, and we have a few more rounds to go.
Yes.
So
yeah.
about a month-long wait until we get to the finals there.
Yes, it's going to be quite a bit of a wait to play against the in the finals for the waning bracket for whoever ends up losing this series. But I believe Possum is actually just completely out of checks on the blue planet, has checked everything, is now going to go to the moon. Hopefully this is just going to go into face check mode at this point, because we've seen Harp, we've seen enough. Well, phase check can obviously take any objectives that, are there.
Well, we know this is the correct play because Odin is located here. A punchy Odin, but an Odin that, Rhybon got through quite quickly. I think Possum even has a few more levels than Rhybon did coming through here, so should be able to get through it pretty quickly.
Yeah, this Odin is not going to pose any threat to Possum's party at this point.
Worth pointing out to everyone, stick around. There's lots of free enterprise that's still going on tonight as we continue on. We have this race that's going on until we're done. Over on Free Enterprise 2, Sorbius and Moleboy started at 9 o'clock, so just got started. I got to imagine that we'll be sending everyone over once we're finished speaking with Possumorpheus at this one. But still on this channel a little bit later this evening, Mike 34 versus Night Dew starts at 11 o'clock Eastern time tonight. So still plenty of Free Enterprise going on tonight. And more to be done tomorrow. They just haven't necessarily been assigned channels quite yet. So stick around. Lots going on yet.
Yeah. I will say right now, both of the races tomorrow will be right here on the Free Enterprise channel. We only have 2 races restreamed tomorrow. But we will have one at the second race in this series at 10 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow night, and then we will also have what is that race? Who's racing? Bardic Panda versus JMac at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Possum is doing, at this point in time, Possum would have already realized that he lost the race, but it looks like he is setting up, he's just showing off at this point, doing some cheeky Thunderstruck strats, keeping everyone healed up. Of course, Odin, even his Zenzetsuken does not hit particularly hard in this location. After he casts that Odin twice, when he raises his sword his third time, if you happen to cast a thunder spell, it will Thunderstruck and insta-kill him.
Yeah, Possum unfortunately cast the one too early, so no Thunderstruck this time, but that's okay.
Oh, because if you whiff, then it's done. Okay.
Yeah, no, there wasn't enough time to get Rydia back in the queue to cast it again.
That's too bad. I appreciate the attempt to show off Possum.
Yes. But that is Odin down for Possumorpheus. Just has to get down to the elements fight, or, could find Valvalis. We don't know.
Lots of options at this point in time. I kind of wonder where Val is at this point in time. Could be Crystal Sword Altar. We've checked all of Baron. I guess it could be, at this point, it's either Crystal Sword, Zot 2, Package, or Luca. So it's
I mean, we could maybe find the package in the Earth Crystal and check those. There's no way Possum finds the Luca key before getting to the Masa altar, because the Luca key is on the Masa altar, and Possum will have defeated elements.
True. So no go there.
But of course, first we have to face check all the other spots on the way down.
It makes sense. Yeah, Possum has always, and we mentioned this before. Possum has always just kind of done what the math says is the right play. So this makes sense.
Yep, at this point it's just finish clearing out all the moon. So Possum is going to make the long walk down the moon. We'll see whether he ends up going to the Crystal Sword Altar first or towards the bottom of the moon first.
Yeah, that's the only suspense at this point in time. You know, it's, let's see. You know, it also worth pointing out with the second finals match being tomorrow. Certainly stay tuned. I imagine there's going to be some more magic tomorrow night as well, so certainly won't want to miss that.
Oh yes, there's going to be more magic. More. I'm sure. I know there's a new harp song. I am sure there will be a new Z sprite. I do not know what the Z sprite is because I am not Scala. I do know what the harp song is, but I will not share that information. You'll just have to watch tomorrow night and find out.
Can you tell us if it slaps as hard as the Weather Channel theme did tonight? Because that one, like 10 of 10 Xeno, really.
It might. I promise it's not another Weather Channel theme. But it does slap.
Is there any preview that you can tell us about it? Because, yeah, I would like a hint.
No hints. Okay, fine, you have one hint. It is from a video game.
Okay, that's actually more helpful because, I mean, who would have thought Weather Channel before?
No, this one is more inside the box.
Is it from a Xenogears game?
A Xenogears game. Wow.
I mean,
No hints.
I don't play. Yeah. All right, Possum is now at the elements fight. Oh,
Yeah, this is
missed the half refill.
Just a little too much damage and tipped into the Kinazo phase. This is fine. Although this Ice 3 is not fine. We're gonna be here a little bit. Just a little bit.
Slightly, but it's okay.
Yeah, we're not. It's gonna be fine.
Mr. Bus Driver, I do believe we can safely eliminate the epic saxophone solo from Project Runway.
I am very entertained by all of these guesses.
This is what we do at this point in the seed.
Yes.
That's pure speculation.
Possum has obtained his crystal and his Luca key. Let's go check the Luca key real quick, because we need to do doors. We don't have enough levels.
I'm game.
Lydia doesn't know Meteo yet.
Ooh, Aaron Blore coming through with a strong guess. This is the theme from the hidden boss in Super Mario RPG, which is just the boss theme from Final Fantasy IV.
I will say that one is in the pool already, and no. I'm going to say no to that one because that one's already in the pool, and this is a new one. That is the other hint. It is new.
Can we ban Curry's TV, by the way? We don't need to.
But what if I did sequence the laugh track from Final Fantasy X? What if I did somehow put that into the game?
It would be the single most cursed seed and thing you could ever do. Like,
I don't think I can actually do that. Like, not that I don't think I have the volition to do that. I don't think I have the capability to do that.
that would be if that were to ever pop up on a seed that I played, I would immediately pop my hard drive out of my computer afterwards and have to set it on fire. Like, I want to be fully transparent about that.
Well, it's okay, because that will never happen.
I'm glad.
I do not have the technology to input the laugh track to make the heart make laughing sounds.
Someone somewhere out there in the community is now challenged. And here's the second.
Anyway, there's a new butt. We talked right over. It's a different butt. That's not Possumorpheus 2.
It's Rhybon.
Indeed, and Rhybon says no Tala.
Yeah, this is Rhybon's avatar, much like we used, Possum's avatar over on the other side. So makes sense that they'd be fighting each other.
Yep. But this is going to be a fairly straightforward reflect strat for Possum. Also, shoutouts to Live Alive. There are a bunch more Live Alive songs actually recently added to the harp tool.
It's on the list. I fully promise. There are too many members of the community that have assaulted me verbally when I've said I haven't played it yet.
To go play Live Alive. I have not played Live Alive yet, so I'm also telling myself I need to go play Live Alive.
It's on the list. As soon as this tournament's, I said as soon as I got eliminated from the tournament, at which now that's happened, so I guess I have no more excuses. So.
Anyway, these reflex threats have gone really well. I think they're just about done at this point. I would guess this direct nuke is probably going to be the finishing one. And yep, that nuke isn't going away, so that is GG's to Possumorpheus, finishing with an official time of 1 hour, 37 minutes, and 22 seconds, with some memeing in there.
Yeah, there was
Don't let the time difference fool you.
Yeah.
There was definitely some memeing involved. But it does look like we are now joined by Possumorpheus. GG's.
Thank you. GG's to Rhybon.
So I guess, we heard from Rhybon the reason why Cecil was ditched.
What? No, Cecil's a stinky character. That doesn't belong in anyone's, party or flag set. No
the
reason.
Seed gave you a free lightsaber.
No, the Seed gave us a couple $1 dues in cash to buy other things. I refuse to recognize Paladin's existence, and I replace them with my own.
I see.
Regardless of anything else that was going on, it seemed like the Seed was kind of pointing you towards a very specific, hey, here's a whole bunch of mages. Hey, here's an early darkness crystal and Tella. Please go do a D-Machine grind.
Yeah, so I played the first 9.5 minutes of that Seed, going heavy loot, basically looking for all of the answers in the event that it was not exactly Tella Darkness Overworld. That was my commit from the start of it. And with that party, finding the samurai bows, buying the heroine robe, getting, Rydia was Sylph online early. Like, all of that was an exact play for not Darkness Crystal on the overworld. And figuring, I see sirens in a shop, I see all of that. I was playing for exactly what this Seed was not giving us, which you see the result. I didn't have a slingshot set up for anybody. It resulted in a super long grind. I had all this equipment that was functionally irrelevant. It's one of those things, Sometimes you make a choice and it doesn't pay out. And in this case, that also predicated kind of the rest of the Seed and how it was played. Doing things like the Dark Imps at the top of tower, doing things like the Ogopogo at Leviathan, trying to make plays to lead to key items that might hide bosses that Rhybon won't do as a way to maybe claw my way back. So it's one of those things where, got to be willing in that case to try to make up all of that time and risk losing by even more. And, you saw the losing by even more. And I wouldn't change a thing about it.
Because you two were very close. Rhybon, I think, did Antlion earlier, and so got the hook, but then used that hook to check the Eblin shop, and took the coffins from there, and went right into Eblin Castle, and did end up looting a lot of Eblin Castle after you, and didn't get anything spectacular out of the 2 trap chests he took. I think a glass hat and a protect ring were the 2 pulls, but it ended up being essentially neck and neck going into Baron Inn. And the reason Rhybon had that slingshot set up is because he found a cursed ring in Damsian Basement of all places and had knocked Rydia down.
I mean, for me, that would have been just more incentive to keep Rydia alive and upwards. So it wouldn't have changed a darn thing in this case. The slingshot's too powerful for Rydia in particular because it cuts off literally 500,000 XP.
Yeah, no, it was neck and neck, even going into the Demon Sheen grind. It was maybe a minute apart.
It's dead at that point, though.
You were into the gauntlet first. Rhybon had a slightly cleaner gauntlet, and then it was very close into the D-Machine fight, and then Rhybon being able to stop at 6. Yeah.
No, I mean, I knew it was dead at that point, but you got to keep playing it, and then you have to change your playstyle completely. There were, two different things I could have done. One was commit Earth and make all the weird plays. The other was commit Full Moon and go blow up the moon. With the bosses being split in both places, it made it an impossible road to come back from. But, there's 1, maybe 2, could even be 3 more games. You never know. So, we'll see how things go tomorrow, and if I'm fortunate enough on Sunday.
Yeah, we will see. But best of luck to you. I'm rooting for a game 3, of course, because we get to do more Magic.
Magic is fun.
Yes. But unless Vitasia has any questions,
I guess the only question that I would have is, both you and Rhybon have been longtime members of the community. You faced off in the semifinals of the Adamant Cup. Can you talk a little bit, just kind of about the history that you two have? Because I know that you guys have faced off many times and have worked together many times, of course. But speak to that, just meeting up again here in the finals.
Yeah, for sure. So Rybon and I have actually never played in the tournament before. I played Simbu in the semifinals, and Rybon had played against Dusty Griff. So this was actually our first meeting in a tournament, which is awesome, and to do it in the finals of all places. But Rybon has been very public and very outspoken about having learned the vast majority of this game from me, and so it's a very, you know, teacher student mentor mentee relationship type thing, and it's really cool to see him take all of that information and not just use it but really put it to the test and see if it stands up, and then take it even beyond what I can do with it. And I would be absolutely honored if Rybon were to not only win ZZ5 but do it against me. I think that would be, if I can't win it, there's no one else I'd rather win it than Rhybon. I think it would be absolutely awesome.
Well, thank you for that. I'm sorry. I thought I was misinformed, but yeah, I figured you guys would have raced against each other because you're both just such top tier runners. But that's very cool that you're both at the top now and facing off. So either way, GG's. You guys put on a heck of a race, and race 2 is tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow we did have to reschedule due to some issues on my end. So the race will be starting right about this time tomorrow. We had to push it back a couple hours, so apologies to anyone who may have pre-made plans. That's my bad. That's my fault. Blame Possum. Give it a hashtag. It's a thing. But yeah, thank you Vitasia and XenoCat for comms. Thank you Ike here, I believe, for doing the tracking. Neobari for the restream, the seed, and all of that. And we'll see y'all tomorrow night. Hopefully we can force a game 3.
GG's to you, Possumorpheus. Absolutely looking forward to seeing you tomorrow evening. You and Rhybon as well. So GG's to you.
Thank you. Y'all have a great night.
Of course, one final shout out to everyone behind the scenes, as Possum just did. Ike here on the tracking. Didn't get to push a lot of buttons tonight, but still very important. Neobari for the restream and rolling the seed, and XenoCat, it's always a blast commentating with you and giving us some behind the scenes access with the music as well.
Yeah, it was a pleasure being here, and thank you, Vitasia, for being here with me tonight in this comms booth. It was a heck of a race to watch.
Absolutely. As mentioned earlier, we are going to send everyone over to Free Enterprise 2, where Sorbius versus Moleboy is currently ongoing. Remember, no spoilers. We want to make sure that anyone who wants to watch this race can watch it spoiler free. Just tell them it was a good one. Otherwise, we'll be signing off for the rest of the night. Have a great night, everyone, and we'll see you at the next race.
Yep. Take care, folks.